yesterday, April 1st, the Artemis mission blasted off, taking 4 astronauts around the moon. And so in honor of this monumentous occasion, I thought I'd share with you who I consider to be one of the first space travelers of history. And of course, I'm thinking of the devil in the Brothers Karamazov. So at this point, fairly late in the book, Ivan is dealing with a fever. He's also dealing with some guilt around the murder, the death of his father, where he's concerned that some of his actions and words may have precipitated those events. And he's visited by this devil character. The devil sort of like a former aristocratic kind of character, someone who formerly wealthy but now is living in embarrassed kind of means, not dressed so well. And the devil tells Ivan that he caught a cold. Ivan knows he's talking to a figment of his imagination. Ivan knows that he's talking to an illusion, and he's furious at this devil character. He doesn't want to talk to this devil character, and he's angry. He expresses anger towards the character. The devil responds, quote, "Your nerves are on edge. You are angry with me for being able to catch a cold. Though it happened in the most natural way. I was hurrying to a diplomatic party at the house of a lady of high rank in Petersburg who was aiming at influence in the ministry. Well, an evening suit, white tie, gloves, though I was God knows where and had to fly through space to reach your Earth. Of course, it only took an instant. You know, a ray of light from the sun takes 8 minutes. Okay? This is 1879, 1880. This is when the modern conception of the speed of light and the way light travels was just being formulated and developed in its modern form. Experiments were being run for the first time to accurately measure the speed of light. So all this is accurate, right? He says. And just imagine, in an evening suit and an open waistcoat. So there's this sort of articulation of what's happening to our understanding of the world. We're now able to imagine for the first time flying through space. The devil continues, spirits don't freeze, but when one's in fleshy form, well, in brief, I didn't think and set off. And you know, in those ethereal spaces, in the water that is above the firmament, there is such a frost. At least one can't call it frost. You can imagine 150 degrees below zero. You know the game the village girls play? They invite the unwary to lick an axe in zero weather. The tongue instantly freezes to it, and the fool tears the skin off, so it bleeds. And that's only at zero. At 150 degrees below, I imagine it would be enough to put your finger on the axe, and it would be the end of it. If only there could be an axe there. And can there be an axe there? Ivan interrupted, carelessly. He was exerting himself in the utmost not to believe in the delusion and not to sink into complete insanity. An axe? The guest interrupted in surprise. Yes, what would become of an axe there? Ivan cried suddenly with a sort of savage and insistent obstinacy. What would become of an axe in space? What an idea! If it were to fall any distance, it would begin, I think, flying around the Earth without knowing why, like a satellite. The astronomers would calculate the rising and the setting of the axe. Gatsuk would put it in his calendar. That's all. Okay? And I see in that sort of a caricature of this scientific mindset, this new approach to the world, which Ivan and the devil are sort of working through. This attitude of just measuring, of just calculating the rising and the falling of the axe. And it's that shift, that change in our understanding, the ability to imagine flying through the ethereal spaces, the firmament above, this reinscribing of that biblical language into mathematical numbers and calendars is so central to what's going on in this book.